Welcoming anyone who is not able to join us today or those who are on today who wanted to review. We are here for the open house of the day one program. We've met about 5 of our participants in the room so far. We're going to keep going with that process. And I'm going to say hi and welcome BJ Cecil the Diesel. Hi, BJ.
I stumbled across Robert on a LinkedIn invitation to a study, and it turned out to be his second group that he did prior to, completing his thesis and doctorate and all that. And Robert, you had me at hello. I'll just say that. I will never stop being a proponent for this program. It has helped me in ways that may not be able to be put down in paper somehow, sometimes. But what can be put down on paper, we've been working on. And I just appreciate Robert for his bringing together what I call the perfect storm of elements to a new form of therapy. And I know anyone in this room can benefit from it.
A new form of therapy.
Extraordinarily kind. Thank you, BJ, so much for that. And let's move forward to Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hello. My name is Ryan. And what are we supposed to say?
Anything about why you're here and your interest, perhaps, or your question?
Yeah, I just think I've had like a love-hate relationship with writing my whole life because I've always been better at the other stuff. And but it turns out that I think I can actually write okay as well. But now I'm starting to feel, I feel like I'm starting to lose it, lose my ability to write as well as I used to. So it'll be good to practice that therapy,
Ryan,
and
thank you.
Got a lot to write about. Yeah. I
was going to say thank you once again. I'm hearing the vulnerability on a yes and that, because when we bring that forward, we recognize there are changes, and some of them, this is the constant battle. What is Parkinson's? What is just getting older? Because we're all hopefully getting older. If we're not, we're dead. So let's embrace the fact of this right forward, and really it's okay that things are going to happen along the way, and there are often interesting ways around some of the traditional ways we used to do things, or new ways to approach the things we used to. And we can transform and become different beings in ways that can surprise and delight us. So, Ryan, thank you for being open to that. And thank you for being vulnerable to your challenges, too. That's very cool. Let's welcome Marty. Hi, Marty.
Hi, Robert. I met Robert in Las Vegas 5 or 6 years ago. He was working with Parkinson's Place, Las Vegas, and he presented on improv and Parkinson's. And I thought, that's just a weird thing. But then of classes, and I started a superpower group last year. We were traveling at the time, and I was riding on the road, and in a very weird space as far as my mentoring and being there for other people, helping other people with Parkinson's. I've had Parkinson's for almost 20 years. Writing was very therapeutic for me and got me to a much better space. I was able to really examine my feelings and thoughts and let myself be vulnerable, and I am a better person for having done that program. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Marty. And once again, every stage of life offers a different opportunity. And if we don't do check-ins with ourselves, a year, 5 years, 10 years can have gone by. And sometimes we have accumulated stories or belief systems that need to be rewritten, rechecked, reinvented. So I thank you so much for bringing that. And there's Karen reinventing herself right in front of us.
Too many words everywhere. And mostly rhymes.
Beautiful. So let's welcome Daryl. Hi, Daryl.
Hi. Am I on?
You're not visually on. However, we can.
I'm not visually on.
No. You're well, I should say to us. To you, you're probably completely visual. There's a cue to start your video if you see that button, perhaps, that we don't.
I do. There I am.
Hi, Daryl.
Hi.
So,
I got that over. I figured that out with your help.
That was a good one. That's a win.
That was pretty good. Okay.
So, why you're here? What's your feeling?
Yeah. Well, I'm really nervous, by the way. Really not right now. I'm really nervous, and whenever the nerves kick in, it seems like the Parkinson's grabs me and I fly out the window. Not literally out the window, but close.
Mhm.
So that's where I am. Well, I figure with Robert, anything that has a cross section of baseball, improv, and the Shawshank Redemption, I got to do.
Oh, yeah.
So here I am.
Well, what a beautiful combination. And I want to acknowledge something Daryl said, because, here we're asking us to share some things of ourselves. And yes, we had a loosening up activity with the music, but I'm going to, before I jump forward into, we got Lorraine and Diane still, let's come together on a game, a really simple game. It's called Mirror. Okay. So look at Ryan's already doing it. Everybody's go ahead and put your hands up like that, right? We're going to mirror, and I'm your leader to start with. Okay. So just follow me as we do this. It's going nice and slow. And the idea is just for us to connect like this, okay? So as we're connected, this hopefully brings us some assurance of, okay, I see and feel what's going on in the same space. That's good. What's going to happen next is I'm going to call out the word switch. And when I say switch, I will no longer be your leader. Somebody else, or maybe multiple people, will be leaders. And at that point, it'll be your job to either follow those new leaders or become one yourself. Okay. We're going to see what happens here when I say switch.
Switch.
And switch.
I don't know.
Switch.
What are we doing? Do any of us know what we're supposed to be doing?
And switch.
Really? Okay, now what? I glitched.
And relax. Good. So when we play that game, especially for maybe my first timers or for new players, can you tell me, how does that feel just playing the game of Mirror? What is your feeling right now? Any words that might describe that? Yes, I see you, BJ.
Sometimes it's very difficult to get connected on Zoom, but this is a way for everyone to feel like they're in the same activity in the same space, and the connection is real.
Perfect. Thank you very much, BJ. Anybody else, what you felt while you played that game? Can be as simple as one word or a full definition. Anything you're feeling? I see, was it Janet? Did I see your hand there?
I relaxed a little bit more,
Good.
trying to get,
Nice.
feel a little more like, we're more together. So
Perfect. Perfect. I love that. Anybody else? Any thoughts or feelings before we roll forward? Because again, it's very nice that what I want you to know is your feedback dictates the direction these things go. Like I said, I have all sorts of games and activities or whatever, but most important thing here is the room, and that's co-created with every single one of you. So at any given time, yeah, raise your hand. Yeah, I see Susan.
I like the fact that we still had 3 people yet to introduce, and something said to you, we need to connect.
Yeah.
It was just so cool that you did that.
Well, you know why I did it? It's because Daryl was so cool to say I'm uncomfortable or
I
I'm
know.
nervous at the moment.
Yeah.
And Daryl, that was super brave. Anytime you guys are willing to share your feelings, trust me, I'm going to do everything I can to honor that. Okay. To make sure that, I can't fix things. I'm not, that kind of doctor. I'm a doctor, but what I can do is I can offer opportunity. I can point to situations or put an outward game in front of us to participate in that can have the effect of lowering anxiety. Karen, my dear, you're glitching. I'm so sorry. If you could do me a favor and type what you were just saying into the chat, I'll read it for you, I promise, because I just can't make it out. But if you'll type it into the chat, I promise I'll read it. Thank you. Let's keep going with introductions, and thank you so much for that. Lorraine, hello. Why don't you tell us what you're feeling and why you're here, my dear?
I am here to reconnect. It's been a long time, and I was so grateful for Susan's reminder. And I first got to work with you, I think you might remember, through the Davis Finney Foundation. There was a group of us, or several groups. And so that was an incredible experience.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Lorraine. Yes, we did a lot of various improv things, and Davis Finney was one of our founding backers that saw this at an early level of my PhD and was kind enough to step in and say, yeah, we want to see this thing get explored. And so thank you for being an early ambassador with us, Lorraine. I really appreciate it. Doris, yes, please, an introduction from you, my friend. Oh, got to unmute you first. Go ahead and try that.
Unmute.
There you go.
Clearly, even though I've been around for a while, I still don't have the technology down. That's all there is to it. Anyway, I'm Doris Martin from Seattle, and I was in the pilot program in 1,000 years ago, whenever that was, and very happy to do so. I just think that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I'm on the rooftops about it all the time. So I'm here to support.
Well, I thank you. And the reference to sliced bread is deep to my heart. I love sliced bread. So thank you. To be compared is an honor. And I wanted to quickly give a shout to Karen, who says, you can't fix your body if you can't fix what's in your head. That's a beautiful statement. You're most important. You're more important in some ways than the medical docs. Okay. So that thought that how, boy, I love that dichotomy. We have our neuros and our movement disorder specialists who are extraordinary in our lives, and that's great. The reason I did this research and I continue to build this program is because many of you came to me in my research and said, this gap exists. I observed it, but it wasn't until I tested it and listened to all of you and you all said, yes, the psychosocial component is not well supported. And the isolation is well known, but nobody's doing anything to address it on the level that it needs to be. There are hints here and there. You see those pieces, and we're thankful for different groups that offer pieces of that. What you'll find here, and I think what you're hearing from many of the students, is this is a different level of engagement, more than what support groups do, different than what exercise groups offer. We're a spot in between, and takes nothing away from what anyone else does. It is in fact a yes, and we fully support all of those other groups and recognize there's still a space that needs to be addressed. And that's what we're trying to do. I saw a hand there, Susan. Yes.
Susan, I want to share a story. My husband surprised me earlier today, and he's a physician, for those of you who don't know that. And he said, I knew nothing about Parkinson's before you got it. And, and I was trained. And then he pretended like he had a microphone and he was at the mall. And he said, what's Parkinson's disease? And he handed it and he answered the question. It's a tremor. What's Parkinson's disease? It's when I have trouble walking. And he did that. And then I pretended to have the microphone and I handed it to him and I said, what's Parkinson's disease? And he talked about what we talk about here. All the cognitive things, the emotional fragility and isolating ourselves sometimes and beginning depression and things. And I was just so surprised it fit right in with what you were just saying. So I just wanted to share that.
I love the validation, and Susan, as my first follower, to me being the lone nut, her having her husband Chip very graciously as one of my first letters of recommendation to meant and still means a lot to me, because yes, the medical community buying into this is an upward journey and an upward battle. We're still fighting, of course. The more doctors we can get to speak as Chip does helps us, again, all get more of what we need. I saw Lorraine's hand. Yes, Lorraine?
I meant to mention earlier the significance for me of that participation was, you reminded me just a second ago, because you reminded us about yes and I find myself thinking of that in so many different ways, because to me that takes limitations away. And even when I write things now, I try not to use but. I go, oh, don't do that. Do and, or make a different sentence. So it's even rolled over into that part of my life.
Let me, I want to yes and that. I also want to acknowledge Diane, who we haven't heard from yet. So let's go to Diane first, and then we're going to jump back to that. Diane, my dear, will you please introduce yourself and tell us a little about you?
Hello, thank you. I apologize I'm not on camera. I'm actually also in a different meeting for work right now. So
we love Hookie.
So I was part of the first iteration of this class. And I shared in the chat, I shared a link to a blog post I wrote about that experience. And I think I was a mentor for the second group. And now I find myself in a new chapter in my personal life, which is separate but related to my journey with Parkinson's, and I'm thinking that this process would really help me again. But I will say, Susan and Doris and Robert, I think I might need a little push crossing the threshold on that. So that's
Oh, got your back, girl.
I want to just really acknowledge Diane here in a couple ways. Number one, she brings a ton of gifts in her personal ability and also in her poetic ability. She gave us this phrase, visible and vulnerable, which continues to resonate with us. And ironically, you don't see it at the moment, but she is visible and vulnerable, I promise. That state of mind of being those two things together is a big part of the courage that we work toward. And it's an exercise like anything else. It isn't something you just say, I'm going to do it, and I do it. Because guess what? We try and we fail, and we try and we fail. It's just like, we go to the gym. We don't step in and bench press 300 pounds. You try it, you're going to fail pretty hard. You could work hard to get to that place. You don't go run a marathon the first day. You could train to get to that place. It is the same with our visible vulnerability and that courage. It takes practice and play. The playful practice we do here hopefully makes it more engaging. And then we hear things like we did from Lorraine, where suddenly what was offered here, it begins to transform the way you see and think. And then you come back and you teach all of us, which is so important, because I'm sprinkling gifts, standing on the shoulders of giants, people like Viola Spolin, who brought improv to this world as we know it, and Joseph Campbell, who brought mythology and the hero's journey to the world as we know it, and using those things to say, I'm going to point at them, and we're all going to pull from them what we will. You'll see different things than I will or your classmates will, and that's fantastic. We come together to say, where are the commonalities and where are the differences, and how can we tie together all these beautiful thoughts? So Diane, thank you for giving us that part of you. And very importantly, I want to make sure the group knows this too, because it happened in this most recent group right now that Susan and another participant, Loretta, really both of whom have Parkinson's, said, it's not where I'm at right now. None of you are Parkinson's. Okay, I think we can agree on that, right? Parkinson's happens to be something that you were diagnosed with, okay, or that for whatever reason you live with, perhaps in your life through as a care partner. The thing is that you get to be a whole person in here, so that if your focus is in another direction with the relationship, with the challenge, if that's your hero's journey at the moment, write that. Doesn't have to be Parkinson's, Parkinson's, Parkinson's. My cues are going to be in that regard because that's part of our commonality. But if your heart is, no, look at, what, I'm having a hard time with, my mother right now. I'm having a hard time with my child. I'm having a hard time with my boss. I'm having a hard time with the personal internal battle. That's what you write about. Okay. Yes. And within that, we will learn dynamically the round nature of both improvisation and the hero's journey. It is universal in its application, and we are all here to teach each other. Okay, so by saying yes and to yourselves and yes and to each other, those are great things. Pardon me for 1 second. Susan, will you do me a favor? Will you step in and kind of lead some conversation? This is my parents, and I need to answer this call.
Yes, I will. Yes, Doris.
Could I say something now? I just wanted to piggyback on your conversation and say that my latest saying is that I consider the time in the day one program to be equally important, maybe even more so than my medication. And I get, unscientifically, of course, but I feel like I get more dopamine out of the class than I do out of my meds. And I'm engaged, it's structured. There's laughter, there's everything that goes about it. It's making my brain work in new ways. And I'm not having to flipping, every 3 hours, take a pill. And I get the dopamine that way. So, it's so important, I think.
That's magic. Thank you. Thank you. BJ.
Yes. And with dopamine medication, you tend to have off periods, but with yes and you tend to have more on periods.
Well said. Well said. And I can tell you these off periods, if you haven't had them, are not much fun.
Does anyone here have any questions? Any new attendees have something they would, have any questions about the program? I just took over, Susan.
Yeah, no, we're a team.
Talk about the writing a bit.
Okay. So
Um,
Susan,
how
can
we
you tell us
share
about
share
the
our
hero's
writing.
journey and how it's divided into writing segments?
Is that what you're asking, Daryl?
More the technical, how we actually share with each other.
On a Google Doc.
Okay.
Robert.
Is there going to be a short tutorial on how to do that?
Heck yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Good
Yes.
to hear.
Yes.
We have the cheat sheet, remember, Susan?
Oh, I'd forgotten that. Right.
Yeah.
And where is that?
Oh,
It'll be
it's just
sent
a-
to you
it's
after
just a-
after you join the class. That you'll get the day one cheat sheet on day one, and then it'll show you exactly what to push. And even if you get it wrong for the first 3 weeks, you can still submit your writing via email, and Robert will post it for you. So there's no way to do it wrong. It'll work.
Okay, thank you.
Daryl, they're meant to be one page.
Yeah. Okay.
And Robert is probably has an agenda to move on to explaining a bit what we do about that. Daryl was asking about the writing, both the technical, how do we share our stuff? What do we do?
Sure. So this is great. Let's get on to some of those aspects, specific questions. There is a Google Drive, and the Google Drive, which is email password protected, so only the people with the emails in the class can see it, will be shared. And week by week, you will upload what you write into those folders. It will then collectively be seen by the class because as you'll hear me say often, the most important writing you'll do in this class is the commenting you do on other people's writing, okay? That, of course, your writing is extraordinary to you and this, that, and the other. What you will find when you put yourself into other people's shoes compassionately, feel what they're feeling, it will color your piece too. So that's why we ask all of you to comment on each other's, and there will be more detail on exactly how we do that, but it's always positive, it's always kind, and it's always through the lens of two particular opponents in storytelling, which are confusion and boredom, that if we either don't get it or for whatever reason we're not engaged, we put those in positive terms, of course, we explain why to help the writer see, okay, there's something missing here, and we can diagnose all of that. But put it up in Google Docs, and there will be a sheet to do all of that, and mentors to show, because that does sometimes at the early stage seem intimidating, and Shabir has been wonderful in the past to mentor people, to get people onto Google Drive. I may lean on you again, and Doris has created a document for us previously, which was pretty great. But we are now very efficient with it. So does that answer what you needed, Daryl?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I saw BJ's hand. Yes, BJ.
Yeah, I wanted to address, Karen had mentioned earlier about one of the issues could possibly be low self-esteem. And I would like to say that one of the things we do in this program is lean on one another. And we really do become family. And Robert also teaches you how to steal like an artist, so that sometimes if you can't really find your own voice, you may be able to find the voice by piecing together other things. So it makes it easier to start out and then find your own voice.
And then I think the comments that we make for each other
Thank you.
help take you and give you real words, practical ideas.
I love everything you guys are saying. Karen for asking, BJ for the explanation, Susan for the yes and. That feeling is what we're building, because confidence is sometimes in short supply when we are anxious, depressed, scared, and therefore the blank page can become the most terrifying thing in the world. So what you'll see in the PowerPoints as I present, I'll lay out.
Hey, just the painful hands. Let's do it.
Okay, type it in for me. I promise I'll get it.
All right.
What I will lay out for you will be, quotes from various leaders that, of course, everything to do with the Shawshank Redemption, which will be our guiding film, and also the song lyrics too that we will study. So, yes, we pull from these great works. And we listen and we feel, and anything you feel, grab it and yes and it. That's the process. So that's what we really want to keep doing. Michael says, sorry, I have exercise class. I have to get to see you all soon. Okay, Michael, we'll see you on Monday, okay? Plan on that. Perfect. And any questions you have, get back to me. Okay, my friend. So thank you for that question. Anybody else like technical questions either about the class? Do you have things you're wondering? I want to make sure to hit those types of things.
I
I
did.
see. Yes.
Yeah, while you were on the phone, I mentioned that, even if it takes you a week or two to figure out how to load up something to the Google Docs, you can email it in and you'll post it in a correct folder, but you'll be able to participate even if it takes a little while to get the ins and outs figured out.
And also the sessions will be recorded, so you can watch them over and over again.
Yeah.
I sometimes take my cell phone and I take screenshots of something. I know I could go back and watch the recording, but that's a really handy way of jumping to it.
And you'll have access to the PowerPoints too, which sometimes have links to things too. So yes, all of those things will be. I saw Janet. Yes, your hand, please.
I have a real basic question. What time is it meeting?
Perfect. So we're planning 2 o'clock Pacific on Monday is what we're planning right now. If anybody has any big objections to that, contact me off. If I have to rearrange, we can. That's what I'd like to do. The current group is finishing from 12 to 1:30. So if we came in at 2, from 2 to 3:30, that would be great. If for whatever reason you're like, I absolutely can't do that, then talk to me offline about that. Email me and we'll reassess and see what we can't do. But that's what I'm planning right now is Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific. Okay.
So I'm in Maryland, and so that's Eastern time. So that'd be
5 p.m. for you.
5. Okay.
Okay. That's the plan right now. And again, if you just can't do that, email me and we'll see what we can figure out. Okay. There's always a workaround. I promise you that. Good. Anybody else? Anything technical about the class that you're concerned about? Susan.
Not a concern, just to elaborate for a second, the PowerPoints Robert produces for the hour-and-a-half long class are amazing. They're fun and they're erudite and they're friendly and they're film clips, and he has kind of a general theme or target for the day, and everything is on the screen there for you. So he does a really good job of helping us understand. So for example, he'll say, what you need to know for your writing, what your goal for writing this next week is, and it's right there lined up. So he holds our hand a little bit.
As much as needed, and wherever I don't, because look, I'll put this out to you guys forefront. I have the worst case of assumed knowledge ever. If it's in my head, of course you know it, which is a whole fallacy to carry around.
Yeah.
So you constantly say, Robert, what does that mean? I'm like, you mean you don't know? And of course, and then it becomes, okay, there's a gap. And so that happens all the time, and you are teaching me, and I thank you for that. I have the benefit of, like you've heard today, having gone through this process in some form 3 times now, 4, I guess, really, because there was another interim session, and each time there's learned something. I can say this about this one. What was particularly special about it was it came out of my dissertation study that this Parkinson's prison, this idea of self-imposed limitations and the various angles that we started looking at it through, was very much understood and very much felt, to the point where I said, this is our jumping off point, that we have a specific part of Parkinson's for people to talk about, and they can go any direction they want, because most people seem to be able to associate with that in some fashion. So that is the reason for the theme, as it were. I see Daryl. Yes, Daryl.
Yeah, just go back. You mentioned song lyrics. That's one of my favorite things. Would you expand on that a bit?
So we will play a song, and I'll fully admit I have a background as a DJ. So I really enjoy digging into music and, finding things within that can thematically, poetically speak to the hero's journey and perhaps, the overall theme of where we're at. And so far, week by week, we've just hit it out of the park with every song, because not only it's I put it forward, then you guys start we listen to the song, we move to it, then you guys deconstruct what you heard, what you felt. I put the lyrics on the screen, and you'll start saying, well, this meant this to me, and I heard this, and I felt this, and will yes and collectively raise up the feeling of the song. So good. I'm glad that hits with you. Daryl, we're just going to be best friends. I could tell already.
And I actually put song lyrics in my last
yes
piece that I wrote. I used song lyrics to underscore the message.
You wove them in wonderfully, which is what I always offer to you all, is to use that to as BJ said, to use them as either jumping off points or to underscore points, as Susan says, because they're there. And what that does is it invites an outside audience in who maybe wouldn't look at you otherwise, and now would go, oh, I love that song too, but I never heard it like that. I never thought it could be applied that way. And I think it's similar even with the Shawshank Redemption, that, mind you, it's been my favorite film for probably as long as it's been out. And Stephen King is my favorite author, the original writer of the piece that made it into the film. And with as many times as I've seen it and examined it, I've never seen it through this lens, and it has once again grown. And I can put out there something really cool. Here's a yes and. BJ, our erstwhile journeyman that he is, Cecil the Diesel, reminded me that, in fact, there is a Shawshank Redemption movie site that still exists in Ohio, and next year will be the 30th anniversary. So we're planning already to go and visit next August for the 30th anniversary of Shawshank in Ohio, the prison, and many of the sites. So that's an added benefit of being part of this, of maybe joining that part of the journey to extend that further. And I know that's a little geeky, but you may get there if if you're not already.
Check the chat.
Check the
Marty's
chat.
been here.
Marty, on our fall road trip last year, we stopped in Ohio and toured the prison where the film was done. Marty,
Tell us.
tell us about what you felt at the Shawshank prison.
It took me right into the movie because I have a lot of props and such, but seeing the cells of the prison was just so daunting and just made me feel very uneasy, and thankful that I never had to live that way. It was very interesting. A little tiny town in Ohio. There's not much else there. There's a huge campground that's gorgeous, and we learned a lot about the prison itself. It was going to be torn down, and the city bought it for $1, and then they partnered with the people making the film, and it was very, very interesting. And we really, really are glad we stopped, but I don't want to go back. It was so terrifying.
Thank you for sharing that, Marty. I'm so glad you went. And again, it speaks toward the power of metaphor, of visual, and of environment too. And that's beautiful. I see BJ, and then I see Doris. Yes, BJ.
Yes, Lorraine was asking about registering for the class, and maybe you can address some of the hesitations that people have.
Yeah, please. Let's put this forward, that this does have a tuition attached to it, right, of $2,000. Now, I realize that may be a lot of money for some people. And what my encouragement is if you can pay it, of course, thank you. That's great. The backing for it is, the PhD study and the published paper and all of the value I have of teaching at this level. I think, and you could hear from fellow students who can speak to it, you'll feel more than the value given to it. It's a fair market value price. Now, that being said, sometimes it's like, yeah, but I don't have the money. Here's the second side of that what we try to do is establish a fundraising opportunity for you, so that if it's built into what you're doing, that not only are you doing this, as you'll learn in the hero's journey, for yourself, you're doing this for the Parkinson's community, because you're not learning your story to keep it inside. You're learning your story to, as in the 12th stage of the hero's journey, return with the elixir, return with what it is you found that can help heal the community, drive us forward, so that by sharing what you learn as you learn it, we can put that into a fundraising component, an awareness component that says, just like you would if you were running a fun run, I'm participating in this great race in 8 weeks, and I'd love for you to get involved. We do the same thing for you, so that whether it's through your social media, through email, through webcasts and blogs, we have one called the Daily Dose of Dopamine we can have you on. Michael, who's going to join us, has his very well-heeled podcast. He can do that. So there are ways for you to get your story as you're telling it out there that highlight the program and will raise funds toward that. Okay, so that's where we're with that tuition generally. BJ, I saw your hand again. Yes.
I told somebody the other day that they could have a bake sale just like they do at schools, and tell them, hey, I'm going back to school, because there's nothing more encouraging than someone dealing with something and then going to school to learn how to overcome. So use that. I'm going back to school.
Yeah. I've never heard it framed that way, but that's so nice, BJ. The idea of I'm going to, there's a better term than Parkinson's school, I suppose, but it's personal school, as it were. It is being a lifelong learner, and this is the course that wasn't offered, but you always needed, and you didn't know it until you took it. And I'm not trying to overinflate me, certainly, because the course is bigger than me. This is the feedback from my students and what I hope you'll see and feel from doing it, because by the way, along the way, you're going to enjoy this. This is going to be fun. I'm not saying it won't be work. It's going to be work, especially when it comes to the writing. There's no way around it. The two ways to become a better writer are to read and to write. That's it. Okay. And that means showing up to the page. That means, by the way, doing some really bad writing, which is okay. You are not only allowed, you are encouraged to write terrible things and turn them in and go, oh my God, that was awful. And then find out that this thing you turned in had like a line or two in there that someone said, that's the most amazing thing. You're like, really? Oh, and it becomes the jumping off point for the next thing. So by being visible and vulnerable and by regularly practicing, we become better, more empowered, and that's what we become. Back to the point before I over tangentialize. Regarding the tuition, regarding the fundraising, more questions about that? Anybody in particular? I want to make sure that you feel comfortable. And by the way, too, if you know people who might be able to support this, we are a 501c3, so they can get a tax-free donation. And they can say, hey, I'm just donating this on behalf of, either you or the program in general, to give a scholarship to. We have people who have done that, and we're extraordinarily grateful for that opportunity. So please know that is something, if the program, if it speaks to your heart, then that's another way to say you're contributing in a way to a program that is set to benefit you and your tax write-off too. Yes, Susan.
So August 21st is next week. Do we need to have $2,000 in our pocket to hand over on day one?
Day one, no. It is, of course, appreciated. Anybody who can, that goes ahead and puts that forward, it lets us know with confidence, okay, good, we're moving forward. So if you do have it, we certainly would appreciate it if you can. I had someone reach out and say, could I pay in installments? Of course, that's fine too. Yeah. And again, the fundraising thing, we plan that to be an iterative thing. And we will, social media wise, support you supporting yourself. And you're going to have to lead on whatever your social media outlets are. We will tag us, and we will spread the word for you to the best of our ability as well. So yes, good. Thank you. Great question. Anything else about either tuition or fundraising? Because I want to make sure that doesn't dominate anyone's fears. Or yes, Daryl.
Excuse me. I'm trying to visualize the page. It's a page where it says donate X amount of dollars. Is that the page we go to?
Yes, and I'll put it up on the screen to make sure you and I are talking about the same thing. Let me go ahead and yes, and exercise. I'm going to bring this up on the screen right now, and then we'll talk about it. So here we are, and under the headings here, you're going to see the tab for day one as soon as it allows me to. There we go. So under those donate buttons work. The sign up buttons will get you to a Google Doc, right? Which most of you have done already. That's a form to basically show your interest. That the donate buttons, oh, maybe it's not here. And that might be part of my problem. So I need to put that up there. Okay, well then let me do that. Because I created the page via Zephy, and which is our
there.
And that is, in fact, give me just a moment and I'll call it forward, because the Zephy page is the one that keeps track of each individual class and what they try to do forward. So see, there's you teaching me. It was in my head. Of course, you all knew that. It's very, very hard to donate. Head. Sticking dollar bills in my ears doesn't work. Not the way it's intended anyway. Okay, so here's the form, and there is, yes, the peer-to-peer campaign. Let me open that up, and this is what the page will look like. There, good. Yes, okay. So I'm going to show you all right here, and I'll link this right away to the site so you see. But there it is, okay, the day one campaign. So it allows you to either just donate directly or to fundraise, which you can build your own page then and then point people to, right? Then people can come to this. So either, if you donate on your behalf, you're like, I've got the 2,000, boom, your name comes up, it says that, fine. If you want to fundraise, then you can click that button and it'll allow you to either create a team or create an individual campaign, and your target would be 2,000 and all the stuff you'd put in there. And again, just like a fund run, you would do that. So this is the way that we will take the payments for that. Questions about how this works?
You're going to share that link?
Yes, I will immediately after this class have it linked up to the one website. So it'll be top of the page. Because you've done a great job of showing me I didn't put it there like I thought I did. A fun run in the mind. Thank you very much, BJ, for that. Doris, I see your hand.
Is this discussion going to be linked somehow for people that we talk with afterwards?
Yes, and it will also be on the page. We have the the video for the PMD Alliance. I will put the video for this discussion, and I will have the link for how we do our tuition payments as well.
Perfect.
So those will definitely be out there. And that allows you to, yes, share this with others if they have questions. I really appreciate that.
Robert, would you share what the PMD Alliance recording is briefly for those who don't know?
So for those who haven't seen it or don't know, PMD Alliance is the Parkinson Movement Disorder Alliance, and they do fantastic work. This video right here, which is on the day one page, is about an hour-long recording that we did last week, sharing an overview of this program, and I believe about 7 stories from people who are currently going through it. Doris, Susan, and BJ are all part of that. And, I would love for you guys to look at that if you haven't, and feel free to share that with anybody as a great definition of what this program is. The website, you could look down here and there's a lot of things you can find as well. The course description, the sponsorship, the fundraising, those are all individual documents. The definition of all the stages of the journey there. Here's the map of what the hero's journey looks like. And then down a little further, these are prior students from, I believe, the second round of the course, giving their testimonials. There's look like 25 to 30-minute interviews with any of them. You're welcome to watch any of those just to hear what other people learned and experienced in this program at an earlier stage. So there's a lot here, and I will put the most prevalent things right up top, including today's recording and those donate buttons, so that that's right there. Thank you for that, Susan. Anybody else questions about where we are? Or I know we're running short on time. I want to make sure that we address any concerns. And let me look through the chat if there's anything here. Am I signed up for the class? So yes, I have received. Yes, that's Karen. I have received. You filled out the form, which to sign up. So as long as I got your email there and we are connected, I have you signed up. Yes. And then, whatever methodology in terms of the payment, you will figure that out via that button and just let me know. And that'll be part of your journey, which is totally okay. Anybody else, questions or comments about this? Yes, I see Daryl.
How many people are you going for?
Wonderful. 16 is a good cap. If we happen to get more than 16, I can open up another section. So, within this course, we actually split the section because we did have some scheduling issues. I'd rather not do that because it doubles my time. However, if it need be and we have enough interest, yes, we can do more sections. So remembering that this is people with Parkinson's, care partners, family members, anybody associated medically or from a wellness perspective, they all have their own journey regarding Parkinson's, and all of it informs us about the experience to both enlighten and raise our ability to have a better quality of life. So please share with anybody you think might be interested. Okay. Good. Other questions? I want to make sure you're all good. The other supplemental thing that is a much looser part of this, but some do participate in, is we have our weekly Jam for Joy, as they're called. We will do some improvisation in this class. It's fairly truncated and more geared towards whatever the day's lesson is. In the Jam for Joy, it's an hour of silliness on purpose. We really just let it hang out, and the whole idea is to laugh and play together. So it's improv for the sake of improv. We do more of an applied improvisation inside of day one, geared towards your writing, your stage of the journey, and building our ensemble. So yeah, but those are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can see those under the website as well under sign up. They're online and you can participate in those too. So that's another way to, extend your journey if you're having a good time and you need more reps. Other questions or comments? I'll tell you this, that since we're running short on time, I'd love to just kind of take the temperature of the room, as it were. What are you feeling right now? What do you feel as we're gearing to start up on Monday? And I'll leave it open. Just raise your hand if you have a feeling. Go ahead and share it. And I see Lorraine. Yes, Lorraine.
I heard a word that was new to me just yesterday in this journey. And instead of talking about our daily dose of dopamine, it's our daily dose of hopamine. And I think this gives us that hopamine.
Oh,
that's Boz Bloom, and it's beautiful. I think he coined that, the doctor from the Netherlands, who I heard that in Barcelona, and I'm right with you. Dopamine is a really cool thing that he's trying to bring forward. So good on you. Thank you for yes-anding that. Beautiful. Anybody else, what you're feeling right now? Can be directly about the last hour or just anything you're feeling to share with the group before we head out. I see Susan.
I thought I was going to be a mentor, and now I want to sign up again.
Me too, Susan, me too.
Yes, and that just to say that our current students were talking about how to have them involved as mentors. Everybody in the room, that the connections you're feeling today, we can make those for you, right? Let me reach out. Let me talk to this person. If you felt anybody, you're like, oh, can I have that person's email? Yeah, 99.9%, of course. Yeah, and you guys can connect and see what that's going to be like, because you guys together on your own, even without Sherpa Robert, do amazing things. So great. I'm glad that's there. And how you connect and go forward, well, we'll see. I saw Shabir's hand. Yes, Shabir.
Yeah, I'm just going through some anxiety in a sense of just too many things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things I have to, like I said, come from here rather than here. So I'm trying to get over that. I don't know if it's Parkinson or whatever. I just feel like, so that's basically what the feeling is right now, is anxiety, not that anything else.
Thank you for sharing that. And again, as Shabir pointed out, that class is in the final 2 weeks, and there really is an understandable feeling of, oh my gosh, we're about to lose this thing, right? This regular deal. And that can set in some panic and fear. And again, just know that you're not losing me, and there are ways for all of us to address each other. And, whether it's signing up again or becoming a mentor or figuring out some other yes and, just please know, Shabir, that you don't have to take on anything more than you need to. You got a group that supports and loves you, okay? And the journey will open as it needs to. I see BJ. Yeah.
Yeah, just Susan's been brainstorming alumni activities. And so this is something you become just at the beginning. You are family. So this is a continuous thing. It's not just a class and you disappear.
Right. Beautifully said. And I saw Doris. Yes, Doris.
Well, and just to tack on that, I feel like this is my second hero's journey, and it's not my last by any means, by any means. Obviously, I have to take a break because I'm exhausted. But
I thank you for saying that, because I don't want anyone to fool themselves. This does become very mentally taxing over the period to go through that. And to let you know too, I'm writing a book about this process, which started at the beginning of this, as I'm learning in real time, because, this is so important for me to get forward in dealing with both my PhD and this Parkinson's prison. So I get it. I'm with you. I'm not standing off to the side and saying, good luck. No, this is work, and it's work we do together.
Are you doing this in your spare time, Robert?
Yeah, that's right. This is my side hustle.
And my problem is the rest of the work in my house and my life doesn't get done because
I know.
pulled into this journey
Uh-huh.
that I neglect the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we learned it, and this is where the yes and becomes a really nice tool. We learn how to yes and do things differently, where we might have put particular walls around things. Maybe now we break down that wall and blend things in a new way. It's like, oh, I'm, getting my fitness and a social aspect, and oh, look at this. I'm getting some food and I'm learning a little something. Whatever it is, we learn to yes and in interesting ways that can add a colorful tapestry to our lives. So with that, let us just close. Final thoughts, which this is a game we often play. You do not need to, but if you feel it, you may. We say, I like, I wish, what if? And in that, you fill in the blank on one of those three things. I like this, I wish this, what if this? And this is only if you're feeling it. Go ahead and raise your hand and share it with the group. Either I like, I wish, what if, and that'll close for today. Anybody have something they'd like to share? I see BJ.
Yeah, I like the fact that the conversation was very flowing today, and people, even though the first time they chimed in and were vulnerable and visual.
There it is. Beautifully said. Very good. And I see yes, Janet.
No,
Oh, you gotta unmute yourself, dear. You try that. You got it. I promise it's good.
She's
I did it again. Yeah, I like the fact that I like, meeting you all, and I like we have some experienced people as well as new. And I wish that I hadn't been really off. I had a really tough meeting before this, and I had about an hour before, and my meds just aren't kicking in, and so I can feel it. It's like when you have that kind of you open a spigot and like the dopamine just all drained out and it's not coming back. So I wish that and what's the third one? I hope
you can do all three if you want. I like, I wish, what if, and
well, what if I don't know, what if the world is I don't know, what if it does great? I hope to see you, and I hope to feel better. I know I'm going to feel better. It's all temporary. So.
Right, it is, definitely.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anybody else? I like, I wish, what if, and if you have to go, by all means, we're over time. So I see Susan. Yes.
But don't go yet, Janet. I just want to say to you that what you're experiencing and describing to us happens to all of us from time to time, and there's this lovely acceptance and forgiveness that goes on in this class. And I'm really famous for raising my hand and then I forgot what I was going to say a lot, or just an individual word. And so you're not alone.
Thank you.
Really, truly, you can feel quite safe in this space to let those things.
Well, I feel like that because we have something in common. Like I was diagnosed 2000. I've been 9 years, so not as much as 20, but I know about off, definitely.
Thank you.
I know about on too.
Yeah, good. I see Shabir. Yes, Shabir.
Yeah, I like the fact that I'm here today because I didn't know that, I want to do this just because I'm feeling anxious, too many things to do. And it's always too many things to do. So I wish we had 48 hours a day, but I have no feeling that even then I would wish for 120 hours or whatever it is. I have to deal with myself, not the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabir. That's a beautiful thing. Doris, yes.
I wish you all a good hero's journey.
What a
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And on that note, I'm sorry, I do have to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Well, let's do it. Okay, very good. Oh, yes, Ryan, did you have something? He's wishing goodbye. You're muted, my friend. That's the only thing. And it might be saying goodbye. That's okay too. He's upset with himself. I know that, Ryan. Look.
Oh well. No, I don't know why I'm back on here. I'm bye.
Bye.
I was trying to wave, but it wouldn't. I can't wave.
We'll do it for you. Happy
Do this.
trails to you, my friend.
Happy trails to you.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.